$100 on a computer.
Listen, at some point you're gonna have to.
Yeah. That's going with me till I die.
See, my mom thought the same thing, and then eventually when her computer got overloaded with all the gunk that your computer gets overloaded with, and because it was an old computer, she then blamed me for ruining her laptop because as a kid I used it. And that was her only reasoning. She's like, you ruined my laptop. When I was like, Mom,
I haven't used your laptop in 10 years.
Yeah, it's like it's a solid 10 years old. Like it's time for a new one.
But I like mine.
I'm not saying you have to get a new one now. I'm just saying.
Yes, you are. Everybody, freaking, my boyfriend is always telling me that I have to get new stuff. I need a new phone. I need a new car. I need a new laptop. And he doesn't want to buy me those things.
I need a new boyfriend.
I know. And I tell him I don't have the money for that. If he wants me to get new stuff, he has to buy it.
And then he's like, "Boy, then I have to spend money on it." And you're like, "Well, then you see the problem."
Up.
Yeah.
Then shut the fuck up. Leave it alone. I like my old technology. It works fine.
like a little gremlin in like a cave. Like, it works fine. Yeah, don't tell me to get new things.
Me taking 20 minutes to start up my laptop.
And then your fan.
Today, because I'm working on the essay, I was sitting outside because it's so nice outside today, and my fan on my laptop just started going off, and I was like, "Are you okay? Are you dying?" Like,
here, do you need me to like? Starts blowing on the laptop, like trying to cool it like a bowl of ramen noodles.
Sometimes no, I mean it blows the fan all the time, but for some reason today it was just so loud that I really thought that it was like just gonna crash and die.
Have you cleaned out your fan recently? Have you cleaned out your fan at all?
No.
Yeah, see, that might be why it's so loud.
I don't want a new laptop.
Listen, you don't have to get a new laptop if you take care of the one that you have.
Okay, how do I take care of it?
So you'd have to take the bottom off, and then, the fan is the part...
I have to take the bottom off?
Yeah, it's actually really easy. You just probably... If some Dell laptops, you can just pop it off. Other Dell laptops, you need to unscrew a couple things, and then you can take it off.
Well, now you let everybody know what kind of laptop I have. Now they're going to steal it.
See that Dell laptop? That's Randy's.
The one with the avatar sticker.
No, it's the closest one to you. Just everyone, it's like on the news. Like, people have been stealing a lot of Dell laptops recently.
Oh my God. Have you seen on TikTok, this guy, he's like a news reporter, and I had followed him like a while ago, but for his birthday, which was May the 4th, he like had his girlfriend on and was like, "It's my birthday, I get to show you my my girlfriend now." And what it became. Have you seen what it's become?
Yes. And so the bit is that like he was doing it really awkward, and so he was like, "This is my girlfriend. I'm here to show you my girlfriend." And then someone put on so on TikTok you can like stitch things. I'm assuming our demographic typically uses TikTok. But for the select few that don't, you can sort of put a video next to theirs and like attach your video in different spots and different angles and stuff to add something to it. And so the first person adds like a gun, like his
being
arm
held to the girlfriend's head.
And then it's like the other arm, and then it just continues, and then like eventually it's like some like SWAT agent, like, sir, sir, I don't want to take the shot. Put the gun down. And then it turns into like the news, and it's the president talking about like the tragic things have gone on today. And then someone took it a step further and turned it into Death Note, because in Death Note there's a scene where the main character he has this notebook where if you write someone's name down they die, and he wants to become like a god. So he
that was a quick rundown of Death Note.
Yeah, well, that's the plot. And so there's a scene in it where he's like pretending to eat potato chips, but he's actually writing in the notebook because he thinks that his house is bugged. And so someone took that scene and started pasting it on there. It was so funny. Oh, and it's like it hit the point where like the original video is less than a pixel.
Yeah, you can't see it at all. My favorite is I also follow Philip DeFranco, and so the last thing that the last renditioning of it that I saw was him at the very bottom, like doing a news report on it, like, "Welcome back to the Philip DeFranco show, and today we're going to be talking about this," and I just lost it. What it's become is, and the guy who originally posted has not talked about it. How can something become so big on TikTok and you not bring it up? Like,
that's even better. Like just leaving it no context. Oh, that'd be so funny if you just drop like the most fire video.
Oh my
and then you
God.
just drop social media.
Oh my gosh. But he does like he reports on the news. Like that's what he does. And so after that it's just him like still reporting. He never acknowledges that he's become like TikTok famous.
Like a meme.
Yeah.
It's so good. I saw another thing Death Note related on TikTok. It was a video of this kid had Hear me out.
I'm scared.
It's so good. So this kid had been reading Death Note, and it was this news report of this police officer, like deadly school shooter apprehended before the murders or whatever. And it's this kid, and the police officer's like, yeah, so he has this book, and it's about this kid with a notebook, and if you write someone's name in the notebook, harm comes to them. And then it shows this kid created his own his own notebook, but turned it into a Death Note, and then just started writing names in it.
Oh my gosh.
And they thought this kid was gonna become a school shooter. And I thought it was the funniest thing. Because this police officer is like I'm just thinking in my head, what if like they'd confiscated the book? What if one police officer is like reading it and like gets really into it, and he's like, Joe, you know that's evidence. Like, shh, I gotta know what happens next. And I was dying laughing.
Oh gosh.
Oh man. And like the whole force starts passing the book around, and it's like, have you gotten to chapter 3? No spoilers in the break room.
Oh god.
That was what occupied my time for a while.
Was that? Did you say that was on TikTok?
Yeah,
or?
it was on TikTok.
Okay.
I think
That's good.
It's just the next thing.
Everything good is on TikTok.
Yeah, most things. There's a lot. There's, you know what? There's a couple. You know, there's at least one. There's at least one thing that's good.
Oh, I was gonna say at least like what we see on TikTok is very good. Like that's the thing about TikTok is you get to see what you like.
I do like that set of algorithms, and I think we've talked about it on here before. We've talked about so many things. I've hit this point where I'm having to ask you like what we've talked about, and not even just topic wise, but just like things.
I need a list. Like we need to start making a list of everything that we've talked about. There's I forget what it's called, but when you're making a movie or when you're making a television show, the characters have like or the actors or actresses, they get like a book that's full of all of the facts about their character and everything that they've ever said that they've like done or they do or everything. So it keeps it like canon and like they don't go off script. That's called something. But we need that, so we make sure that we like know what we've talked about already. Yeah,
so we know our own personalities.
Exactly.
So we don't go off script. Actually, this entire show has been scripted. I hate to break it to you guys, but we're reading it right now. Mm-hmm.
That's where the script ended. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. Oh, you didn't even say the name. This is Media for the Intellectually Impoverished. I'm Taylor.
I'm Randy.
And this is the podcast that
enriches your mediocre lives.
Anyways, that's the end of the episode. Look at you. Play the outro. Yeah, what are we talking about today, Randy?
We're talking about... Why do I always have to introduce the topics? What are we talking about today, Taylor?
Well, now you're switching it up. I don't like it when you switch things up. Remember when you said that one time? And then I was like, oh, okay.
What are we talking about today, Taylor?
We're talking about colors in media. Right?
I thought you were going to forget and come up with something totally...
That'd be so funny. But it wouldn't be funny to anyone but us.
Yeah, because we're the only ones that know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We're talking about colors. Good job, Taylor. You got that one.
Woohoo! Point for Taylor.
That's not a point. That you should have known that. You don't get points for things that you should have known.
I feel like you should get points for things that you should have known. Isn't that the whole essence of points?
No. Points is when you do... I don't know anymore.
You get a point, and you get a point.
I get a point. Randy gets a point.
Woohoo! 2 points.
We've lost track of the points at this point.
I see what you did there. Listen, I know what I said.
Okay, but colors. Am I going first or you're going first? I don't remember who went first last time.
Does it matter?
Yeah, we have to keep it consistent.
Then I'm gonna say that.
What did we talk about last week? True crime?
No.
I went first.
No,
No.
it wasn't true crime.
What would we? Short films.
Short films.
You went first.
No,
I went first.
you went first. So
I've gone first both times. It's your time to go first.
Okay, fine. I'll go first.
Because I went first in the true crime episode, and then I went first for short films. I know that.
Yeah.
Your turn. Stop making Randy go first.
Listen, I'd only do it because I'm more comfortable when you go first.
I'm more comfortable when you go first.
See, that does seem to be the trade-off, doesn't it? I'll be talking about the video game Journey. Whoa. It's made by That Game Company.
Mm-hmm.
It's a publishing company or game dev company, and it is beautiful. So when we're talking about colors, I feel like it's going to be different between the two of us because colors in video games serves a different purpose than colors in movies.
See, that's the thing, because I was in the movie that I watched, I could pinpoint meaning to why each of the colors were there and what like underlying tone and theme it was giving that specific scene. But in the video game, specifically in Journey, I'm sure there's other video games that can do that. But with Journey, there was no like, I don't know. I felt like the colors were there to just be aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, and it's true to a point. But I think the purpose of colors, because the thing about it, you're creating the world from scratch versus we're using the real world and using colors to mean something because the colors have to give an intent, an underlying intent of like mood and theme. At least that's the purpose in this game. Okay. I won't say that every game uses it this way, but I think that you should. I'll get into it. Basically, when using color in games, like there is ways to use them symbolically and have them mean something in the sense that like they represent something specific about a character. But there's also something to be said about choosing your colors to tell the story, which I think Journey does really well. So give us a brief synopsis. You are the main character is of an sort of I don't know, just of a race of not human kind, almost like a bird. Yeah, a being, just like a bird type thing. And you wake up in your world, and so there's no dialogue in the game. It's all told through the events that unfold and through the imagery and the colors and the things that you see, which is one of the reasons why I picked the game. Another one being that it was free for a while. Ooh. And I was able to play it for free, which is very nice because I want to spend more money. I love the podcast and I love video games, but buying a video game every week is a little bit of a dent in the old pocketbook.
But you are supposed to have seen or played a lot of video games.
That is true. I have, but I've also talked about at least 23 of them.
You've already talked about 20. You telling me that in your lifetime you haven't played more than 23 games?
In recent memory, I've only played 3.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I don't remember anything. Yeah, so when you wake up, you're just sort of in this barren desert wasteland, and the colors are... And yeah, it's great to talk about visual elements on a podcast in an audio format. I love that we do this a lot.
Yeah.
So the colors
You wanted to talk about colors. I'm just like...
Was it me? Did I come up with it?
Yeah, because I was going to say we need to talk about the film process and the video game
That's
development
true, but
process.
it's also our finals week, and that is a lot of research.
This was a lot of research. You think I had time to watch a movie when I have a paper due in 6 hours?
So it's a barren desert wasteland. It's a lot of browns and yellows, and it's very monotone in those browns and yellows. So it's the only sort of deviation from that color is off in the distance you see a mountain and a sort of a shining light shining out of that mountain, and that's very obviously like the direction that you're supposed to go. So initially, they're telling this story of you have a place to be, and they're telling that solely through the color. So. Yeah, through the use of that color and the use of that imagery.
Because you said the deviation of color. I mean, isn't the light like white? Doesn't that kind of go along with the yellow and
But it
brown?
stands out.
It does stand out. But also the video game is called Journey, so I would expect that you would go on a journey. Yes, Randy made Taylor cry.
No! So it's very simple. It sets sort of the tone of the story initially with that idea of there's something very far away that you're having to go to. And it gives a clear, I said this already, it gives a clear indication of where you're supposed to be going. Well, that's that part is really more of a tutorial. That level is very much a tutorial. It teaches you the basics of the game without having to, go super in depth. So the next scene broadens the color and introduces like animals of this world. So it's very cloth aesthetic. So you have a scarf, right? And the main mechanic is that you use your scarf, and the scarf gives you the ability to sort of jump up in the air and float. And so you use that to traverse and navigate the landscape. And it's really fun. It's a very fun thing. And there's if you find these collectibles, you can extend your scarf, and your scarf can get huge, and you can fly for a really long time. And that's what I spent most of my time doing.
Flying around.
Yeah, flying around. So you're introduced to these tiny little scarf creatures, and the colors open up, and so now there's some pinks and there's some green tones in there that green, I know, right?
Oh my God.
In the sky and the
green in the sky. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, green and pinks hues in the sky and along the mountain and in part of the habitat. And so it's starting to broaden this idea of like, this is a world. There's some lore here. There's dilapidated buildings that you're seeing.
Oh yeah.
And so it's when the colors expand, so does the world and the story. And then the third scene is bringing this color to fruition. So in this third scene, you are you look so surprised right now.
No, I'm excited because like this was my like favorite part of the game, I think.
Yeah, so in this third scene, it's sort of this skate. You're skating down this area during the evening, and so it brings this desert into its fruition of color by bringing out the red tones and the orange tones and the very pretty sunset tones that you'd see in the desert. And you get all of because you're skating, it's very much like you're passing by all of these things that are going on. And you're seeing these animals interact with the environment, and you're seeing what the environment was, and it brings this story of this civilization to a full. So you're seeing the civilization at what its peak was, and then immediately at the end of that, you're dropped down into this deep, dank, dark layer, and the colors obviously completely change, and they go from all the reds and the oranges and then the yellows, and they switch to blues and dark purples and greens, really dark, angry greens. Yeah, because colors can be angry.
Yes, colors have feelings, emotions attached to them.
And that's what they're using to their advantage.
I'm sorry, I don't know if we want to talk about this now, but if we're going to be talking about colors, we have to talk about the color of notebooks for different school subjects. Have you heard of this debate?
Hit me.
What color is the notebook that you have for like math? What color is math?
Red.
It's
red or
blue.
It was red or blue. I was gonna say that.
Okay, people. That's the heavily debated thing. Is like people will say math. It's like there's a big majority of people that are like math is red, and then there's people that say math is blue. What is science?
Green.
Green, obviously, right?
Yeah, science is green.
And then history?
Yellow.
I was gonna say orange. It's pretty much the same. Or social studies again, it'd be like yellow or orange. What was another one that like? Oh, religion. I mean, because I had religion class. Did you have religion class?
I went to public school.
Oh, no, you
That's
didn't.
not allowed.
Never mind. I had religion class. That was white.
What about
what's another like
English?
Oh, English. That's a good one. Purple.
I think that would be my blue.
Math is blue. I swear to God, math is blue.
No, English was always blue for me.
Nothing's red. None of my subjects. I feel like red's a very angry color. I feel like the people who put red as math are they don't like math. They're very.
No, I loved math, but red is math.
Okay, maybe my theory doesn't hold up, but I loved math, and so blue is like very calming, and so math is calming, and that's like.
Yeah, I get that. I also wasn't a huge like different color person. I usually just got one big binder that had separate sleeves in it.
No.
Oh, I loved that.
Gross.
That was so much easier.
No.
Yeah, I'd use that all through high school. Every subject was a different slot.
No, I loved having different colors for each of my subjects. So I would have like for math, I'd have a blue notebook, a blue binder, or a blue folder. For English, I'd have like a purple notebook, a purple binder, and then my whole backpack was color coordinated. It was so nice.
Wow, you're a nerd.
Yeah, I know I am. Mark, Alex, freaking, he uses it as an insult now, calling me a nerd, and I don't like it. Why you gotta use nerd in a derogatory fashion, okay? There's nothing wrong with being a nerd.
Nerd!
Randy's pissed.
Pandy's wrist.
Sorry for getting off topic, but we pretty much agreed for that. Never mind, there wasn't a big debate.
I mean, other than math.
Math is blue.
I can see that.
But you can see it. If you were a hard red, like math is red, then we'd have a debate.
I mean, I also just, like I said,
you don't do it. So
I don't do it. It wasn't a big thing for me. But yeah, so the fourth scene, you fall into this hole, and this is where you see the society start to fall apart and fight over resources. So they created these giant metal robots, right, that would try and steal the resource, the cloth, so that they could have it. And so you see this deep recess filled to the brim with these creatures. Some of them alive, some of them, ancient and not working. And so you have to navigate through that. And like I said, it's a lot of blues and it's a lot of dark colors. And then it moves on to this fifth scene, which is this place showing like not the lore, like a prophecy, showing a prophecy of what your characters, or like the story of your characters, you're seeing a prophecy of like going to the top of this mountain and finally, finding the heaven or something. And so you see this prophecy and you see all these animals come back again. And so those change to like yellows and reds, some browns, mostly yellows though, and sort of this mystical environment, this world filled with wonder, because this is when they introduce these sort of jellyfish-like creatures, which I don't know about you, but jellyfish has always sort of brought this idea of like wonder and like, ooh, jellyfish.
Ooh, no, I don't like jellyfish.
No, you're a loser.
They're scary. Yeah, I don't like jellyfish. One time when I went to Galveston, they have those really, really tiny jellyfish. Have you ever swam in Galveston?
Yes.
They have those really, really tiny jellyfish, and they like sting you, but like they don't like debilitate you or whatever. Like they don't like make you all in pain. It just feels like a bug bite, but they get all over you, and I hate it. I don't like jellyfish.
Fair. But I always thought they brought a sense of like wonder, and especially in this context.
No, especially in this context, yeah.
And then the sixth scene is you get to this mountain, and so you're climbing this frozen mountain, and so it's a lot of like losing that hope. And it's this wasteland where it's just frozen, and you see all these animals dying in the wintry area, and so it's a lot of whites and a lot of grays and very sad colors, and it's just a lot of in between that sort of palette of white and gray is just different. It's very monochromatic. And then finally,
like all of them are pretty monochromatic.
They're all monochromatic in the sense that they all have their own color palette. But each one is monochromatic in its own way. And this is the one that is the most, I would say, monochromatic with the least color.
Say monochromatic again.
Monochromatic.
There we go.
Okay. So the final scene is when you get to the heaven. So your character kind of like dies, and then you get to heaven. And it's sort of the culmination of all of the colors. So you see all of the colors return. You see some of these wintry areas, and then you go through the clouds, and then you see the jellyfish, and you see these blues from water, and you see these sandy areas, and it's just the culmination of all of the good parts of the rest of the story, and the rest of the colors sort of come together at the end to create this very beautiful imagery before the journey and the game ends. So. Yeah, I just really love the use of color that fits the story, because like I said, there's no dialogue, and all of the story that I figured out, I had to go back and read about from what the developer said the story was about, because I didn't quite understand it. But like seeing how the color tells the story as well, and so I found a photo of the color palettes for each level, sort of in order. And we'll put that up on the Instagram so you guys can see it.
If Randy remembers.
If Randy remembers. I'll text you to remember.
Okay.
I'll text you right now. Bet you'll remember now. And then I always thought that it was a really, really pretty game too. Like it's a gorgeous video game. Like it's probably one of the prettiest games I've played in a while. And it's just because of the way that they use perspective and atmospheric perspective, which is, for non-art people, atmospheric perspective is when you look farther off in the distance, you notice colors begin to fade and you see less of colors. And that's because the light bouncing off of that is taking longer to reach your eyes, so the color is faded a little bit. Yeah, I really like how they use the color as an aid to the story. Not only to set the mood and to bring you into the story, but also the color itself can tell the story. So.
Well, just what you're saying. So I'm looking at the image now, and there's this big like contrast right in the middle where it goes from like all of these like really bright reds, yellows, and oranges, and immediately goes into like deep blues and emerald greens and blacks and all of these things. So that seems to be like the harshest like contrast in the video game. Is there like something in particular that happens at that point that like that's the like climax of the game, or is there any like reason for that drastic
So in that
change?
part is right after the level where you're sort of sledding down this this desert scape, and then you fall from that area into the sort of the pits of hell, I guess you could say.
Okay.
The pits of that civilization. So that's when you, after seeing what the civilization was beautiful and flourishing, you then see what they did afterwards to destroy their own civilization and why all these animals or these beings are dead and all of that stuff. And so that's why there's such a sudden shift. And it's such an interesting spot because it's literally like you're skating across this beautiful land, and you have animals with you, and then you just fall immediately into this depth, and then it's just boom, just blackness. Another interesting thing, this doesn't have much to do with color, but it's about the game itself. So
no, this episode's about color.
No.
Okay.
So the game has this really interesting bit to it. So after you complete sort of the first tutorial-ish level, if you have online mode on your PlayStation or whatever console you play, I think it's a PlayStation exclusive, but I'm not sure. If you have a PS Plus, which allows you to play online, the game will automatically, without telling you or anything, sync you up with someone else playing the video game in real time. And you will then take your journey with them from that point on. It is such an interesting experience because I didn't expect it at all. And I didn't even realize that's what was happening until after I played the game, because I thought it was just robots, or like not really after I played the game. I had an inkling that's what it was, because the person or the other character was doing very human-like things. But I was just playing, and I got into maybe the second level, and I was just vibing, doing what I did. And then I turned around and I saw another person there, and then he sat there, and there's this ability to sort of speak. And so you press the button to speak, and he's just speaking to me. And I was like, hello, hi. And then we just spent the next few levels like hanging out together, and it was so much fun.
That's awesome.
It was so great. We were helping each other, and then there was this spot where I found a collectible, but he hadn't seen it. And so when we got back together, I got his attention, and I led him back to the collectible, and then he found it. And then we kept playing, and then suddenly he had to stop playing, and then he just disappeared. Literally,
I'm so fucking sad.
It's like an end game, spoilers.
Oh no, you can't.
It's like that. It literally looked like that. Like he just turned to dust. And I was like, I was sitting there because every level, it sort of has a cutscene that plays after it, the sort of short film thing that tells part of the story. And then when you do that, you sit down at this thing, and then the cutscene plays, and then your character gets up, and I saw him, and he was still sitting down, and I sat down to wait for him, and then he just disappeared. No! And then I had to keep going by myself.
But did you finish until the end of the credits? Because at the end, it'll tell you who you played along with.
Did it really? That's so interesting. That's super cool.
It's awesome, yeah.
It's such a brilliant just tidbit. Just a tiny little thing. And it tells a lot about like the story of like, because it's not a journey by yourself. It's a journey, and people help you along the way. And it's just like,
I think that's what it says. Like the very last, like after all the credits roll, it's like those who went along your journey with you or something. And then it lists like all of the other players that had been playing at the same time as you.
It was so cool. So interesting. And then I met another guy who was running the wrong direction. And
he was trying to do it backwards.
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing. Then he disappeared. And then finally I got to the ice scape, and then I met a total idiot who I'm not kidding. Like
What
literally.
if they're listening?
Oh, you know who you are. If you played
You
Journey
freaking
and then
idiot.
if you were playing Journey and you got to the like the mountain with someone and there was someone behind you and you didn't stop to say hi and then you kept going and then you got blown back by the wind because you didn't hide behind the obvious rocks. And then when you tried to cut a corner because you're doofus, you immediately got caught by one of the giants that swooped down and literally tackled you and killed you.
No.
And then you fly away and then you land on the ground and then you get up and I'm looking at you and you turn and look at me and then you continue. And if that was you, you are the stupidest person.
Stop it. Don't be mean.
I will always be so mean.
Hey, that would be me if I was playing the video game, okay? I don't
Listen,
have hand-eye coordination.
It's not about hand-eye coordination. It's about common sense. The game is very well designed, very clear where you're supposed to go. The camera automatically pans to the area you're supposed to go
my
if you
God.
don't touch it.
Okay,
If you are too dumb to follow the camera,
it's me. I'm sorry.
listen.
That's why I didn't play the game.
That's why I'm the designated laugh guy.
I was researching it and I had watched somebody else play through it and they said that it took 2 hours to play and I was like, oh, if I had tried to play it, I'd still be playing it now. It took me 6 hours.
8 hours. I'd be playing it right now during the podcast.
During the podcast, trying to finish it really quickly so I could talk about it.
Oh, it's such a brilliant game though.
I wish my chair didn't squeak,
It's okay.
but I want to lean back. But I won't. It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's a great game. It's so much fun. I totally recommend playing it if you can get it for
I was
cheap
going
or
to say,
free.
is it still free?
Maybe it might not be. It was free on PlayStation Plus, so they do a deal where every month you get 2 free games, 2 or 3 free games. And I picked it up during that. But I mean, I love it, but at the same time, I don't feel like it's long enough to warrant you paying like $20 for it or something.
Interesting. So PlayStation Plus is like a monthly
Yeah, it's
subscription
monthly
thing?
or yearly. I do the yearly subscription.
Because it's cheaper.
Yeah, because it's cheaper, and I know I want it. It's $60 a year, which is just like that's like buying
That's
one.
nice.
It's just like buying one video game a year.
Uh-huh.
Nothing too bad.
But then you get like 2 free video games.
Yeah, so you get 2 free video games every month, as well as you get the ability to play online with your friends.
Uh-huh.
That's what I mainly use it for. The 2 free video games thing is a perk, but you only get those games for as long as you have PlayStation Plus. So if you get rid of PlayStation Plus, you can no longer play those free games. But I mean, it's worth it just to have them play them because they put Final Fantasy VII Remake out for free 1 month, and I was like, come on.
Yeah.
I paid $80 for the digital deluxe version of that. Like, please.
Well, I was just thinking, why don't they do that for movies? I know there's a bunch of streaming services. There's Hulu, there's Netflix, there's HBO Max, there's Amazon Prime, there's all of these things, but there's still some movies that you just can't get anywhere. Like the movie that I'm going to be talking about, Vertigo by Alfred Hitchcock.
Awesome segue.
Could not, thank you. I could not
10 out of 10.
find it anywhere. Why don't they have something like that where you pay like a yearly like thing and then they'll give you a list of like movies you can get for free. And then you can also watch them with your friends because I have to freaking download if I want to watch a movie with somebody like online, I have to download another like app to do that like on Discord or not like Discord is one of them, but that's like the worst way to do it. There's also like Cast and a Netflix Party and all these other things that you have to download. Are you paying attention?
I'm paying attention. I'm just thinking like
why is this not a good idea? Tell me why it's not a good idea.
Well, the basis of it already exists, which is just a streaming service. Because you were like, let's pay a subscription and get free movies, and I'm like,
but I want the movies that nobody has.
That's the thing. Nobody has them.
Yeah. So, but someone has to have them.
Well, think about it though. You know the reason they don't have them is because of licensing.
Yeah, but somebody who has the licensing get on this idea. Let people have your movies.
No, give me your movies.
Give me your movies, please.
I want all your movies.
I don't want to pay $4.99 each time I want to watch a movie.
That is the worst. But you get the HD version when you rent a movie?
No, I was trying to make it sound like more exaggerated. Taylor, come on, I'm buying the SD version because I can't tell the difference.
SD version. Here's the thing, if you're buying the HD version, that's the reason number one you're wasting so much money. There is no, unless you are watching it on a movie screen, there is no reason to buy the HD version.
You didn't catch my joke that I can't tell the difference between SD and HD, which as a cinema major, you think I should be able to do that.
Oh, that was the joke. I just thought you were being honest.
I mean, I was, but that was the perfect opportunity for you to sweep in and cut me down.
But okay, we'll redo it. Redo it. We'll do it again. Do the bit. No wait, I'll just sweep
Taylor,
in.
you know that I'm not paying $4.99. I was exaggerating. I buy the SD version for $3.99 because I don't know the difference between SD and HD.
But you're a cinema major. Hey, you're a cinema major. What are you doing?
What was that we were having? I need to get to my topic, but the other day we were having a conversation outside with a bunch of friends, and somebody, I think it was Josh, was like, I'm not a cinema major or something, like trying to defend himself for why he hasn't seen a movie. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be a cinema major to watch movies, guys.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. That doesn't have to be the only reason.
That's not how it works.
Yeah, like I watch movies.
But you are an interactive media major.
Yeah, so you'd think that the only media that I consume is video games?
No, that is what that is. Oh my God.
What did you think interactive media was? What is interactive media? Were you thinking of like 40 Adventures? Like where the bubbles like blow out of the movie screen? Is that what you thought is that what you thought I was studying? Or did you think I was studying like the scratch and sniff where they came to the Spy Kids movie and they're like, okay, sniff number 3, and then you scratch it and it smells like dog shit? Is that what you thought I was studying? What did you think I was studying?
No, I just thought, I don't know why I was thinking that interactive media was like all media. I don't know. I thought it was like,
I'm friends with an idiot.
Shut up.
I thought you were a nerd. You're not a nerd, are you?
I thought you were a smarty. Oh my God.
Oh man. It
was bad.
It's bad.
I lost my whole segue into Vertigo.
It was an amazing segue. It would have been great if you weren't such a doofus.
Don't call me a doofus.
Which is your least favorite of those three? Doofus, idiot, or nerd?
Nerd is fine. But what's my least favorite?
Yeah.
Idiot.
Idiot? Really?
Yeah.
I feel like doofus, because doofus has such like punch to it. Like doofus. I really punch someone with that word.
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
That's what Alex calls me.
Isn't it like a pet name where it's like, come on, doofus? It is.
Yeah, I mean, because I do dumb stuff on the regular.
Oh, really? Really?
But so he goes, when we first started dating, because he had done something dumb, and so I called him like an idiot, and he was like, don't call me an idiot, like I don't like that. And so I was like, oh, what names can I call you? And so we agreed on what we could call each other when we're being dumb. And so I agreed that he could call me doofus, and he agreed that I could call him a dum-dum.
Dum-dum is so good, though. Because doofus is like, I'm punching you, and dum-dum is like, you're not even worth a full English word. Like I came up with this one solely because it's beneath me.
Anyways, Vertigo, okay.
Vertigo by Alfred Hitchcock.
Yes, by Alfred Hitchcock. It came
Alfred Hitchcock.
By Alfred Hitchcock. What?
We're just gonna keep going.
You want to make a joke?
I made the joke and then it surprised myself. I said Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh, I didn't hear you. The movie came out in 1958, and apparently when I was doing my last minute research, they found the movie after he had died.
Oh, interesting.
I did not know that. How do you find a movie by a famous director and not know that he was in the middle of creating it until after his passing?
It might have been like he created the movie and then never gave it to the public.
That's true. But they had to do a lot of like color correction on it because all of the colors had faded, and color is a very big part of this film. So to give a rundown of it, I'm so sad that you weren't able to watch it because it's such a good movie.
You didn't have to tell them that.
No, I had to. I had to. Because let's be honest, if I hadn't watched your video game, you would have told them.
That's true.
So it's a two-way street, bucko.
Bucko, really? Oh, it's almost as bad as doofus.
Doofus. So it's about this police officer who, while on a chase, on a roof, he's running on a roof chasing a criminal. He falls and he hangs off of the roof. And while one of his buddies is trying to save him, his buddy falls to his death, and this gives this guy this like terrible fear of heights and gives him vertigo. And so it's like a running theme throughout the movie that he like can't go up into heights. And one of his other buddies, who's not a police officer, asks him to start following his wife around to figure out why she's acting really strange, and she doesn't seem to be like herself. She seems to be possessed. And when he starts following her around, he becomes obsessed with her and falls in love with her and needs to have her. And I don't want to spoil it because it's so good. And I'm not going to spoil it. I'm going to be talking about the colors, but that's like the main premise of it. And so each of the characters in the movie, there are, I guess, 4 main characters. They each have their own color. So you have the main guy who is either Johnny or Scotty. Like he goes either way, which I don't get. How do you get Scotty from Johnny? Like,
it's like the same thing. How do you get Dick from Richard?
I don't get it, but
Unzip his pants. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for Media for the Intellectually Impoverished.
That one was the best joke. Grade
that
the
was
bit.
F.
No!
I don't like toilet humor.
Oh, but that's so good though. I didn't even. That's never even a joke I've heard before. I just came up with it. Come on.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. A D.
A D.
A D for Dick.
Stop it. Anyway, so each of the characters have a color of their own. The main guy, Johnny is Scotty. I thought that his color was blue because he wears a lot of like blue suits, blue ties, and the woman that he's first seen with, Mildred, I think her name is, or Mary. It's one of those. Fact check me. No, you don't have to. Her color is yellow, and it's very obvious because she has bright yellow hair. She's wearing a yellow top. Her apartment is full of yellow furniture, and the walls are yellow, and everything's yellow, so that's obviously her color. The girl, Madeline, that's her name, who he becomes obsessed with and is the wife that he is supposed to, of this other guy that he's supposed to be following, her color is green. And so you first see her in a room that is completely red. It's like this bar, nice restaurant type of place. And so all of the furniture is like red oak and the walls have velvet red all over them. And she's the only person in the room wearing green. And so that was to like get your eye to like draw to her and stare at her beauty because she's beautiful. And then it shows how Scotty could become so infatuated with her because she was this person who could really stand out in a crowd. But when I was doing my research, I found that Scotty's color is actually red. It can be both. Because if you want him to contrast against Mildred or Mary, I should just look up her name. I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure it's Mildred.
I think it's Mildred, right? Yeah. Okay.
But I also didn't watch the movie.
We're just going to go with Mildred.
All
if her
right.
name's not Mildred, you know who it is. If you've seen the movie, she wears yellow. But she is his ex-fiance or ex-wife or something like that. And so if you contrast them, it's like blue and yellow because those are kind of like contrasting colors. It's technically like purple and yellow, but blue's close enough. But if you want to contrast him and the other woman, it's red and green. So you can make him either. But the way that I saw it was, and now it does make sense that he's red because he does, I guess he has a red tie sometimes, and the door to his apartment is red. It's like, yes. But also it makes more sense for the film itself because the woman that he becomes obsessed with, her color is green, and that's supposed to like represent, so all colors in film have meaning, typically put towards them. I won't get into all of them now, but I will as I progress. So green is typically like mysterious, mystical, very like fantastical fantasy. It's not real. It's kind of this like dream-like. It could also be seen as an evil color, but I don't really get that from this film.
Yeah, let's clarify that. Typically in society, colors have meaning, but within film itself, they are given specific meanings.
Yeah, but they all still have a general like consensus.
Yeah, that's true. But because when I think people are gonna associate with green is like envy, and jealousy and stuff like that. Whereas in film, it has a slightly different connotation
That's true.
because
You're
of the
right.
application of it.
Yeah, it does. So that's what she represents. And Scotty's color being red represents the obvious like love, passion, obsession, because he becomes obsessed with her. And it's great that their colors actually counteract one another. And so when they are both seen on screen, it's amazing. There are so many shots throughout this film that I didn't realize at the time, but then after watching the film and going back again to find these like little snippets, there are times when just the Alfred Hitchcock was just so meticulous and precise with all of the colors that he had on screen at one time. There was this one where Madeline, she is no longer in green. It's later in the film when because their two colors eventually start mixing and she begins wearing red and he begins wearing green to show like their infatuation with one another. But she's at one point just wearing complete white. She has like white blonde hair and she's standing in front of a white wall. And it is the most beautiful thing that I have ever seen. It could be a painting in a museum. And I don't know why it's not. But there's another one where Scotty is in the exact opposite. He's in all black. So he has like a black suit on, a black fedora on, and he's standing right next to this like black light post. Beautiful. It's monochromatic. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But so eventually the two of them, I don't want to give away, but so something happens between the two of them, and that's when their colors begin switching. So to show his infatuation with this woman, he starts wearing a green sweater. And when we see him in this green sweater for the first time, we also see him in his apartment for the first time. And his apartment has green all over it. Now, I'm not saying that after he met this woman, he went out and bought a bunch of green furniture. I'm assuming he already had it. But I think it just adds to the fact, which I didn't see anybody else talking about, I think it adds to the fact to show like his infatuation with her, or the fact that she is now in his presence. Like everything around him is now starting to like take on this like dreamlike mysticism, and then he offers her a red robe to wear, and so they're now in each other's colors, and it's really cool.
That's interesting because it's not just like you said, it's because they're a part of each other's lives now.
Mm-hmm.
Because of their obsession with each other. They're like they're not only like, because when you think of a person and you get really close with a person, you start to don some of their personality traits
Mm-hmm.
and some of the things that they say or do. And in that same way, they're donning each other's like colors, like they're becoming one another.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
No, so because I originally hadn't seen that Scotty's color was red, there is red throughout the film. There's a lot of red throughout the film, but I always associated it with danger because it seemed afterwards something bad was always happening. When you see him in a red tie, afterwards something bad was going to happen to him or something strange was going to happen. Mildred, at one point, when she sees that her ex-fiance has become obsessed with this other woman, she puts on like a red shirt. And immediately when I saw that, it already clued me in. Something's not right here. Because I associated it with danger, but when I was reading it, it's to show that she's like trying to chase after him by trying to then adorn his colors,
Mm-hmm.
hoping that he in turn would then like adorn her colors like we were just talking about. But she takes it too far and she like scars him and like makes him even more crazy than he already is.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that was going to happen because she was wearing red. But that's just kind of there's more that I want to say, but I'll give the story away too much. At one point at the very end, Scotty is seen in a hotel with this completely other woman. There's so many women in this movie. Judy. And she is there's a light outside of her window, outside of her hotel, that is this bright green light, and it completely showers her in this green like mist. And it's like, it's yelling at him, like in that moment when he sees her, like freaking, you want Mildred, like, for God's sake, like
for God's sake, man.
It's just yelling at him. Like and you can do that with color when you've already established a theme throughout the movie, especially Alfred Hitchcock, and specifically with this movie when he was so obvious about it. There's other movies, and we've talked about other movies like Scott Pilgrim and Baby Driver, especially with Edgar Wright. How he uses colors as well to distinguish between his characters and to show this like interconnectedness between characters at certain points. Alfred Hitchcock was so obvious about it, making these people have their very own specific colors, and we rarely seeing them outside of those colors, except if, again, they're being connected or they're being drawn to somebody else. And it's so good that then once you have that idea, once that theme is placed, you can do so much with it, because then you can literally, all you have to do is show a color on screen and you're like, oh yeah, that person's about to show up, or he's thinking about this person, or he wants that person. It's so good.
That is, it's a powerful tool because it's one of many visual tools. But this one, you can use in probably one of the most artful ways, because
it's very stylized, because you don't typically see that kind of thing in real life. I want to say, never are you walking around on the street or in your home and suddenly is a bright green light shining in your face to like signify something. You can only do that through like movie or through like this very stylized format.
Yeah, using a visual medium. And it gives you a lot of leeway to then tell stories with. It's a very like I said, it's a powerful tool. Like if you're gonna use color, I mean, first off, research sort of what colors mean, and not to say that you can't use a color in your own unique way.
You can, yes, that's the other thing. If you can make color mean your own thing in your film, if you want to associate, I don't know how you could flip it on its head. If you wanted a really sad person to wear yellow all the time, I'm sure you could make it work.
Yeah, and it's not but know that when you're doing that, you have to very clearly set that tone.
Yes,
because you will be working against
expectations.
And so, using color, like I said, it's a very, I don't know what I'm trying to get at here. Basically, what I'm saying is color is a very powerful tool.
It is.
Use it at your discretion in your media. And do it. I mean, there's so many things you can do with it. Like, I don't feel like there's like a set way for me to be like, use it this way, because
it's kind of up to your own like interpretation and how you want to use it in your film. So talking about a project that I had recently worked on, I directed my own short film, and I had these two characters. They were the same person. One was this character from the past and one was his future self. And so to like kind of represent this connection between them and yet this change between them, I had the younger character wear very dark blue colors to signify that he is in like this low dark place, and I had his older self wear bright like white colors and bright blue to signify that he was still the same person. He was still wearing blue, but he had changed and he had like bettered himself. I am holding back a cough.
I know, I heard it. This isn't all to say that you need to be very meticulous with your color in your media, because that's not necessarily true. There are a lot of other facets that you can go down to stylize in your own way. But this, be aware that color is a tool.
I was about to say, it's a tool that you have in your back pocket.
Yeah, even if you don't mean to use it, you still will likely have color in your media if you're doing a visual format. And so those colors will mean something. So keep it in mind, even if you're not focusing on it. But if you focus on it, know that it is very, very powerful. It's one of the most powerful visual outlets. But yeah, let's move on to some recommendations.
No, I had briefly one more thing
I wanted to say. She has briefly one more thing to say.
Just that, and maybe I had already said this earlier, I'm still trying to hold back a cough. I'm going to get through this. Okay. Know that if you're going to use color, you're working against expectations, but also use it to your advantage, because then you don't have to, it gives you exposition that you don't like have to verbally say. Like if two characters on screen are suddenly like becoming infatuated with one another, if you slightly change the color of the light to like red or pink, which is usually so associated with like infatuation, with love, with passion, you can already ingrain that into the audience's mind without having to state or even having to like show them falling in love. I wonder if you could have a scene, I'm sure you could, of like two people like walking past each other, maybe showing just like their feet or something, but like the tone of like the the frame, like the color of the frame just slightly shifts into like a more like pink hue or like a redder hue to show like something has definitely changed here and they're like connected now. Just know that it helps with exposition. You don't have to explain yourself.
Explain yourself. All right, let's move on to some recommendations.
Okay.
You want to go first or should I?
You can go first.
I'm going to talk about Super Mario. Super Mario, specifically some of the newer ones. I'm going to talk about probably the Wii U sort of platform Mario. I think it's just called Super Mario Wii U.
Okay.
Or New Super Mario Bros. Wii U. Whatever it is.
I don't know. You were asking the wrong person.
I'm asking the wrong person. But it uses color in a very delightful way. In that it uses to... One, it's just to attract you. You know, like I said, every level is going to have its own color palette. And by levels in Mario, it's going to be more of like a world. If you've ever played Mario, it's World 1 with 6 levels, World 2 with 8 levels, so on and so forth. But they use color really well to help you distinguish not only between the characters, but between sort of the moods of the characters, So Mario's red, he's going to find Princess Peach, who is pink, and those are both very like driven. Red is a very driven color, very heroic color that we see a lot. And then pink is a very dainty color. It's typically it's very dainty color. And then you got Luigi, who is green, which is just because that was really the only other color they could use, but they've given him a personality around that.
The color they could use. How sad is that?
Pretty much. That's basically the entire personality trait of Luigi, is just the other Mario.
Wow.
I love Luigi, but it's true. That's what he was. And they again use atmospheric perspective really well, but like the colors in that game are very vibrant, and it's very, very obvious that they made specific choices in that game to use color. So that's my recommendation. Also, I just like Mario. It's fun.
Mario is fun. I haven't. Wow. I'm looking up another movie that has good color, and what comes up? Vertigo. I love Mario 2. Oh, but I've never seen this one.
Mario 2, like the video game?
Yeah.
Or like no?
I like Mario as well.
Okay, because I also like Mario 2. It's a fun game.
I haven't played. Is there a Mario 2?
Yeah, there is Super Mario Brothers 2. That's the one where you get to play as Princess Peach and Toad, and that's where Princess Peach.
You know too much about video games. I want the Grand Budapest Hotel. I've heard that that's very like good for color, but I've never seen it, so I would not be able to talk about it.
I could. I saw it recently. It's
Taylor
amazing.
will give my recommendation.
Grand Budapest Hotel by...
Isn't it that guy, M. Night Shyamalan? No.
M. Night Shyamalan? Yeah, Grand Budapest Hotel by M. Night Shyamalan.
No, it's not.
It's
It's not. No, cut it out.
What?
It's
what are you
not.
Talking? No.
It's not.
Have you seen the what's the one with the trees, where the trees come and are destroying the world, and it's Mark Wahlberg, and he goes, "What? No."
I have not. The actual like director of that. Oh no! I can't say who it actually is now because I should have known this.
Who?
Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson.
Oh no! I'm sorry, Wes.
I'm sorry, Wes. Grand Budapest Hotel by Wes Anderson. It is a beautiful film. It's got an amazing... Wes Anderson does amazing things visually. He's very much like a risk taker, I would say, in some of his films, and he loves symmetry and he loves color. So Grand Budapest Hotel does a really also does a really good job of...
Get your words out. This is a podcast.
I know. I don't talk well, and I made a podcast. With setting tones and using colors to your advantage. Like the hotel itself, I believe, was pink. And that immediately sets love. It's a hotel. It's kind of dainty.
So cute. I want to live
there. And it's
there.
cute, and he uses a lot of miniatures to his advantage as well, which is just an amazingly fun stylistic choice. And it's just an amazing story. So I watched it recently, very recently, actually, like I think less than a month ago. But yeah.
Can I read? Is it bad if I read the description from Google?
No, read the description.
Or the summary?
Read the summary.
In the 1930s, the Grand Budapest Hotel is a popular European ski resort presided over by the concierge Gustav H. Gustav H. I think that's Gustav. Zero, a junior lobby boy, becomes Gustav's friend and protege. Gustav prides himself on providing first-class service to the hotel's guests, including satisfying the sexual needs of the many elderly women who stay there. When one of Gustav's lovers dies mysteriously, Gustav finds himself the recipient of a priceless painting and the chief suspect in her murder. I have to watch this movie.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Murder?
I think they have it in the film library here.
I'm sure they do.
But then again, they might not. I don't remember if we watched it on the library, if we watched it on Amazon. But anyway, yeah, those are our recommendations. Thanks for joining us on this intellectual journey. We'll catch you guys in the next one.
Bye.
So, the dick joke, right? Media for the Intellectually Impoverished is produced by Trey Taylor Smith and Miranda Randy Zapes.
Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at MFTII Podcast or email us at mftiipodcast@gmail.com.
That's MFT, 2 Eyes, Podcast. Thanks for listening.